Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Relix, and today we're going to just quickly review Game 4 of the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers series for the first round of the playoffs. I don't really want to get into, why the Kings have lost now twice on the road. I called it that, after Game 3 that the Kings would lose in Edmonton. Unfortunately, the Kings are just not a road team. At least this year they're not, and they have to bank on the fact that they can win at home. I did say if they could win this final game on the road in Edmonton, going back home to LA, they would win. But now things are evened up 2-2, just like the rest of the Western Conference. Every series is 2-2. So unfortunately, the Kings could not pull through, even though they had the lead in the game. There was obviously some controversy surrounding the game itself. This even ties back into last year as well in the playoffs. TJ Luxmore, the referee who made majority of the penalty calls in this game, in Game 4, was also one of the referees who pretty much handed the Oilers the opportunities in the playoff series last year. I am not one to hound on referees as much. I look in the eyes of the referees and say, okay, I understand why they had to make certain calls. It's live replays for us as the audience. We can see the slow motion, the after effects. We can see what happens that the referees can't see. But it's live. They have to call what they see. They have to, make calls, make decisions based on the facts of the ice and what they are seeing right in front of their faces. Unfortunately, TJ Luxmore, he has to have some bias. I don't think there's any way around it. This is twice in a row now, 2 years in a row, that he has now called, or rather not called, penalties for the LA Kings that should have been there. Now, am I saying that this is the deciding factor of why we lost the game 3-4 in overtime? No, I am not saying that that's the reason. Obviously, to me at least, the Kings losing Game 4 is a combination of what Game 3 was, and then coming into this game, the mindset. I blame Jim Hiller. Now, whether or not it's all about him, or if it's the rest of the coaching staff or not, or even the players themselves, the Kings can't go into defensive shells. And that's exactly what they did in Game 3. They put on zero offense, and they got destroyed for it, including that controversial call with Evander Kane, and then the goalie interference, which I believe myself was no goalie interference, and the Kings coaches challenged that, which gave the Edmonton Oilers all the momentum, all the scoring, and all that stuff. Going to Game 4, kind of the same thing happened. The Kings come out with a 3-1 lead after 2 periods, 100%, well, I would say more like a 90% defensive shell. There were a couple of moments where they tried to put on the offense, including one moment where Fiala shot and it hit the post. But other than, a couple of moments, the Kings decided to go straight up 3-4 neutral zone, 2D blue line. No one's forechecking. 0% forecheck. And that really pisses me off. I was screaming about it the entire game as it was going on. Slowly but surely, with the Kings leading the game, they're not going to push any more offense. 3-1 lead is not big, and especially when we're taking penalties. The Oilers didn't need only 13 seconds like they did in Game 2 to get 2 goals, but they still scored on the power play. And, Bouchard still has that Bouch bomb, and he got 2 more goals to tie it up in the third period. So, am I disappointed in the Kings? Very. I am very disappointed. But, overall, it all goes back to, putting in the effort. Obviously, like I said, it could be a coach's thing. It could be a player's thing. I don't know. I'm not on the bench. I'm not a professional athlete or anything like that. But Jim Hiller refuses to play the fourth liners. That's Trevor Lewis, Samuel Hellenius, and Jeff Malott. Those 3 guys have not practically played the whole game. Now, Lewis did get shifts, obviously, with Kopi and Kempe, benching Kuzmenko in those situations because he's more defensive, I suppose. But that makes no sense because you're not only breaking chemistry, but you're not going to put on the forecheck. You're not going to try and score another goal. And of course, in my opinion, I'm sorry to say, as much as LA Kings fans, including myself, love Trevor Lewis, he is getting older, he is getting slower, and therefore he is not playing to the potential we need him to play, to defend the lead. And so having him play and not like a young and aggressive Malott or big and physical body Hellenius, it seems counterproductive, in my opinion. So that's something unfortunate for the Kings. We also have to discuss how, even if we are playing full defensive shell in the third period, the way the Kings are playing is chip it out, right? Just throw it in the air, flip it out, get the change, 30 to 40, 50-second shifts, but it still didn't matter because you're not trying to play. I don't think the Kings were really playing for each other. They were just playing for their own time. Gotta make sure I'm not on the ice too long. I gotta make sure I'm just getting it out, making myself look good. They weren't really passing to each other, and if they did, it was not even clean passes. It was just a total mess. The Kings just look pretty bad in the third period, and that really sucks. Me watching it as a fan, I really hate seeing the Kings suffer like this, and seeing that the top 9 forwards, and then of course 4 D-men, Doughty, Anderson, Gavrikov, and Edmondson, are practically the only ones playing at all, is just upsetting. I am so upset about how Jim Hiller or whoever is handling the time on ice, whoever's sending out the lines, I am very upset about how they're handling it. It is not a good strategy right now. And the Oilers, okay, sure. I think it was Deneau who said it in a post-game interview. They're doing the same thing, right? They're shorting their bench, but they're used to it. They're used to playing McDavid and Draisaitl for over 25 minutes in a regulation game. They're used to that. Our guys, they're not used to that. They don't do that every single game. Literally, every single game. Of course the Oilers are going to be able to keep up. And especially, who was it? It was Jim Fox, I think. When you're on defense, you are tired as hell. Everything you do is tiring. When you're on the offense, you're not tired. And that is exactly why I think the Kings need to push more offense. They need to push the Oilers back. Even if it's one guy who has to suck it up and play a little bit harder just to get a shot on net. Make Pickard make a save. Not just dump it behind him and say, oh, here you go, Pickard. Here you go, Oilers. Take possession back. I'm just going to go change. You guys can have the puck. No, shoot it on Pickard. Shoot it at his face. That's why goalies have masks that are, all this equipment, rather, I should say, that protects them now, because pucks do come up higher than back in the old days. And you have the capability to be a kind of a douche to the goaltenders just as much as the Oilers are to ours, such as Perry being always in the front net and, messing around with goalies' heads, being physical, getting in their faces, things like that. And I'm just saying Perry because this is the Kings Oilers series, but this goes for anyone in the league that does this kind of stuff. I mean, they're goons in the league for a reason. That's their role. And unfortunately, the Kings are just such a nice team. They don't do that. They don't do any of that, and it sucks. So, unfortunately, that's kind of, to me, what leads to the Kings just losing games. They're just not a physical team, and I think that was evident again in this game as well. The Kings and Oilers, like I said, it's going to be a physical series. Oilers lead in hits again. If you guys take a look at the stats, the block shots for the Kings is just ridiculous. Giveaways as well. We just got to play better. We just got to play more offensive mindset and just go for the goals. That's unfortunately why I don't want to really show all the goals and stuff in this video. Just because I feel like a broken record having to say all this again, but it's the same truth, It's just the same thing over and over again. Obviously, the biggest controversy is TJ Luxmore, as I mentioned earlier. There was a penalty on Edmonton that should have been called, or not on Edmonton, but against him. He was tripped up without a shadow of a doubt. TJ Luxmore was looking right at the play. It wasn't like he was looking at the puck going into the corner over here. No, he was looking right at the stick, going into Edmonton's feet, did not make the call, and then, of course, later in the game, called the tripping on Gavrikov, who he tripped up McDavid in the overtime, and that power play solidified the game. As soon as that penalty was called against Gavrikov, I knew it was game over, but it's just the fact that Edmonton's was not called. It just sucks. And TJ Luxmore is, I have to say, he must be biased. He must be biased and must be rooting for the Oilers, because this is not the first time that something like this has happened under his watch. We have seen this happen in the previous playoff series before, and unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he's probably going to get a lot of backlash for this, but, it's just the way it is. You have to referee with integrity, and I just don't think he has that. And, I watched the FanDuel Sports Network for the Kings. Jim Fox, he doesn't usually get very irate about the referees and how they referee. He and I pretty much understand the rules and, the way the game is played. We understand the mindsets of the referees. We try to be as unbiased as possible, and we understand how they, what their viewpoints are. But unfortunately, we both agree in this situation, TJ Luxmore, who we both have to call out, is unfortunately just not ready for this. And if he is, one of the better referees in the league, I'm just not seeing it. And unfortunately, it goes against the Kings. That is 2 games straight now that the Kings have lost. And this one, where we had the lead, we should have been able to solidify a spot going 3-1 in this series. But it's not just about one guy. It's not just about one referee. It's the Kings. They need to stop going defensive shell and play harder offensively. Props to the top 9 forwards. Props to the top 4D for, spending the ice time on the ice. However, I want to know, what are the other guys thinking? What is Moverari thinking while he's just sitting there the entire game, not playing anything? What is Hellenius thinking when he's only played 1 minute and 44 seconds through 2 whole periods and didn't even get a shift in the third? Like, what are these guys thinking on the bench? Like, why am I even on this team? Why am I even in the NHL? Like, are you serious? You can't question your coach's decisions? What is Kopi thinking about this? Like, what is happening with the Kings bench that causes them to do this? Like, they didn't do this the entire season. At no point during the regular season did they bench these guys so long that they only get like 1-2 shifts in a game. It is absolutely ridiculous. This is not how you build a championship team. And as I mentioned before, way back, I didn't think the Kings were going to make the playoffs this year, but they've proven me wrong. All of a sudden, we're taking 2 steps back and we're trying to fatigue our top guys for every chance we get. This is only the first round of the playoffs, and the Kings are already exhausting their top guys. That is not a recipe for success. And to be honest, I will not be surprised if the Kings give up one of the games at home and we end up losing the series, because we are just fatiguing all of our top guys. Kempe, Kopi, Kuzi, Fiala, Byfield. Those guys are getting exhausted just by playing multiple minutes of shifts that they shouldn't even be playing. But yeah, that's pretty much my rant. I guess this wasn't really a quick review, but it is my opinion on how the games have gone. And I knew they were going to lose in Edmonton. I just knew it. But it was closer than I thought, and that's great. So hopefully going home for 2 of the 3 remaining games of the series, hopefully we should be able to pull out a couple of wins and move on to the next round, finally beating the Oilers. But at the same time, it is still looking very bleak. The way the Kings play is just not good enough. They need to do better. Darcy Kemper is giving them a chance every single game. He was just announced as a Vezina Trophy finalist today. And so if the Kings could really play much better in front of him, I think we can finally pull out of this first round slump and make it past the Oilers and move on to the next round. Whoever that may be, Wild or Golden Knights, doesn't matter. I do think we can beat whoever comes next. It is then, of course, the challenge of the Western Conference. The Jets and Avalanche are 2 strong teams. Whoever wins those series. Obviously, I do think the Jets and Avalanche will meet in the second round. And then whoever meets in the Stanley Cup final. But you got to get past one first. You got to get past the Oilers. So that's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching/listening to me rant about the Kings and how they're not doing so good, but at the same time doing good. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, comment down below what you guys thought. Kings fans, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Do you guys disagree or agree with the defensive shell in the third periods? Let me know. And if you're Oilers fans, let me know what you guys think about those Bush bombs, because I consider him one of the top 5 defensemen in the league. Other people don't, but we'll see how the series plays out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to continue to cover these games. Probably not as extensively as I did the first few, but we'll see. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys after Game 5 for the Kings and Oilers. Bye-bye.